Welcome back to the Ryan Dunstan Podcast, Words from a Humble King. Per usual, I have a guest here with me, special guest. This conversation is going to be dear to my heart, man, because this one's a dope soul, Realtor. She's doing her thing in the Baltimore area, servicing the DMV as well. She is with the Next Home Mims Realty Group. They're doing their thing, serving Baltimore and DMV, as I mentioned, but half a decade in the business. And I mean, heart postured the right way, caring about her clients through and through. But Baltimore's own, right? So she's right from Park Heights, right? And I'm talking about from Park Heights, right? Boys and Girls Club, and volunteering at the churches and all kinds of stuff. Welcome. How are you, Miss Kiesha Harris?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
My
I appreciate you joining me. First things first, I just want to know, what got you started in the real estate business?
My passion for helping people. I've read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've bought several copies for all the members in my family. And I'm like, look, y'all, we got to get on. We have to keep going with the legacy that my grandparents have instilled in us of home ownership and just teaching people that they too can do it.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're dealing with here in Baltimore as we try our best to kind of revamp the optics of Baltimore, renovate some properties. It's been a hectic issue, right? Because it's a lot going on in Baltimore. And Baltimore is not just drug addiction, alcoholism, and all that kind of stuff. Baltimore's a beautiful place.
Yeah, not just. There's so much more to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we get. We get a bad rap, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
but our population is small. The city's not that small, but it's a smaller city.
Yeah.
But man, we got a lot of beautiful things going on in Baltimore right now, man. And I'm pleased that we got somebody out there like you that's ready and in position to kind of make the change take effect. But you got a special route. And this is kind of what I really want to dig into, right? Okay. Because your route has kind of carved you to a point where you've approached the business from a humility standpoint, and it's made you so relatable to the point where people just feel you. Energy speaks before the mouth does. People just feel you before you even speak. And I think that's one of your attributes. You exuberate love.
Honestly, I'm just being me.
I know that's right.
It's not something that I think about. So when you're saying that I'm doing something that is just natural to me, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And just keep pushing. Like, honestly, it's really about serving my community.
Yeah, for sure.
Changing the narrative.
Talk to me about that narrative about Baltimore. Yeah, let's dive into
we got a bad rap out here in these streets.
Let's talk about that narrative.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you can ride down the street and just see abandoned homes, and it's just like, what are they doing there? Unemployment, homelessness, just drug addiction, just anything that you can think of.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Helping. If I help one person, then I've done my job. So I host home buying seminars, and I just try to get the information, I get the information out there to the public. And I will walk you through the process. And, that can look scary to people. People have buyer's remorse. People are fearful of the unknown. Like we don't want to do anything. How is it going to turn out? We don't know. It's a journey. So we just have to do it, together, because again, we got to change the narrative. We cannot be displaced by other people coming into our city who can see the value that we may not see right now. And we don't want to look up 5 to 10 years later and be like, oh, I used to go to school there, or, it used to look a different way. Well, now is the time to buy into Baltimore, to invest in the communities that you grew up in, that you have friends in different neighborhoods. We just used to catch the bus over to the other side of town or whatever, over east.
Over east.
But it's it's our home, so it's like we have to, I guess, just pour back into our community.
Yeah, we gotta love it enough to do it. I tell you what, let's set the stage here.
Okay.
because I know that, I hear you talking about, and I know the story, right? So it's like I hear you expressing the story and the way that you deliver the information to your buyers, right? Or to your sellers, right? And the way that you approach your client consultations and all that kind of stuff. So let's take a U-turn for a second and let's go in the past.
Okay.
And let's talk about the prime of your life, man, because
oh gosh.
Yeah. Because listen, the thing is, we in Baltimore, there's a lot of people that they don't think that they can purchase.
Okay.
They don't think that they can purchase. And there's a fear that's riding there. You mentioned the uncertainty, right? But you face something like that in your life.
Oh gosh.
Yes. Miss Kiesha Harris is a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
And this story is going to show you all why she is so relatable and how it's so easy for her to exuberate and then communicate and speak to the uncertainties of this business and I don't know if I can do it in this business and the ambiguity surrounding the process. This story is, I think anyway, it's made for such a delivery fueled with humility. But talk to me about this breast cancer survival.
All right. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 34. And it was like everybody's story, out of the blue. Like, what in the world are you talking about? So I did a mastectomy, I did chemotherapy, and I did radiation. But I'll go back to like the beginning when I first found out and why I was able to approach it in okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? Because God told me I wasn't going to die. So with that said, I'm like, well, dang, it doesn't really matter what I go through, being tired or, not being able to work. And I'm a very self-sufficient person. So relying on people to take care of me was a very, very hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But I am gracious enough to be surrounded and blessed with people who love me in my vulnerability. It was a perseverance. It was a trusting the process. Of course, uncertainty, being faced with something that, everyone's like, oh, the big C word. I'm like, listen, if I ain't gonna die, then there isn't anything that I can't handle. Even with like my hair falling out. So I decided to not be dramatic, in the shower against the wall, sliding down.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, seriously, like you can be absolutely
I've
dramatic.
seen the commercials. Yes.
So I said, no, let me go ahead and cut my hair off. So it was funny because my first week I was like, oh, I still got my hair. Okay, cool. Let me go wash my hair. And a little piece from the back came out. I said, oh, we're not gonna play that game. So I went and got my hair cut off. And funny, I went to one of my uncle's houses, and first thing he did when he opened the door was like, oh, thank God you're cute, because what?
Uncles, right?
Yeah, they ain't gonna let you slide on nothing. So that was that. But I would say like my family was absolutely there with me. I told my mom the one thing I did not want to do was look sick. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want to go, I don't want you to feel sad for me, right? Like, I'm a G. So there isn't, God won't put anything on me that I can't handle. So that was my approach. It was like, lock in and let's just go through this journey because there's going to be something greater on the other side. So that also plays into my service for people, right? Like God didn't bless me with my life not to help somebody else. So yeah. And like I said, okay, so my mom, I told her, I was like, I don't want to look sick. So she fed me from sun up to sundown. So I actually gained weight, which is such a blessing. I was like, I don't want to look like what I'm going through. So it was like I just had to get my mind right. And it was just very like time by myself and reflecting on what did I want to do. I'm not going to sit here and get emotional right now, but not serve my purpose. So yeah, But yeah, 10 years later, she's still here.
10 years.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
So you wrestle with that thing for 10 years. Let me ask you this, right? Because I heard you on the sitting by yourself part.
Okay.
And I honestly believe that God does his best transformations in isolation. And but in isolation, there's a wrestle, right? I know for me, in my isolation, I play tug of war a lot with what he said and what my reality looked like.
Yeah.
You know, and because although he said it, it doesn't, faith is not.
Not by sight. Not by sight.
Yes.
Not by sight.
And the optics can almost break you.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a trust game. Right. He's trying to prove that he can be trusted. But that to us in our set of circumstances from our viewpoint, there's a lot there. And I know, man, for me personally, I spent, my 28 to about 36, maybe 35, I spent a lot of my time asking, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because first of all, it don't seem like it should take this long. You are God, right?
Absolutely.
And you're my father. So it's like, so why are you allowing this? Why would you do this? Why would you allow this, right? And then there was another wrestle, which was, are you really going to do it with how much time it took? Have you forgotten about me? And that produced some are you good enough issues, some abandonment issues, right? I talk a lot on this podcast about me and my father falling to alcoholism and drug addiction. He fell when I was 6, and my mother, she struggled with the drug addiction. And my grandfather, all my uncles fell to the same thing. I really had no male perspective to actually feed off of. Yeah. And I'm like, man, you let them fall. You let him fall. You let him fall. Right? They're your kids. Right? So it don't seem like you coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me about the wrestle.
The wrestle looked like facing, is God who I believe God to be? Am I who I know I am? No hair, struggling, isolation. And it really made me face all the things that I said I was and all the things I believe. I had to stand on it. And it's very hard when you're dealing with something with your health, but it was like, by myself, God, you are who you say you are. Meaning, Kiesha, you are who you say you are. So if you have been placed on this earth to do something, then you got to do it.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want to, even when you might not be able to do it or you feel like it's taking too long, if it's supposed to be done, it's going to be done. Yeah. You can take a long time or a short time. Depends on you.
Yeah.
And just complete submission and vulnerability. And that was not a very comfortable place that I like to be in. But I had to do it to stand on what I said I believed. You could say a lot of things like, oh, I trust God and blah, 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 I'm faithful. But not until you have to do it. You have no choice.
Yeah.
And with that choice, I'm facing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And for me, no. Listen, man, this is real. And I think that for me, first of all, I had to address all of the fallen first in order for me to be able, because a lot of my process was more so, I'm trying to show you who you are, as opposed to me already knowing.
Okay.
I didn't know who I was. And I'm still in some areas figuring it out, right? I started using the term king a lot, right? Because I had developed that revelation, all right? because I didn't always think I was one. I was left abandoned, forgotten about by the people who were supposed to be his kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to come in and really do some groundwork and laying a foundation in my life, because I was going to be where a lot of mayhem stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to start with no reference points.
Mm-hmm.
I had to start with no influences.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to be not taken. This was key for me. They were called.
Ooh.
Right? You know, I was sitting in the shower one night, and I don't believe God just yells from heaven and say, "Hey!" I think a lot of people think that when they say God talks to them, right? But that's not how I experienced it. I experienced it through, you know, I had to start meditating, sitting still a lot. I had to sit still and remove the distractions, move the world, move life, learn how to focus. Now, I had to do that over water. I had to learn how to bring my mind back to water, wherever I was, the sound of water. But they say he's the living, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I had to sit still long enough to allow a perspective to come, and to allow a thought to come. And that's how he would speak. He would speak through thoughts that just wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
They would just simply come out of nowhere.
Yeah, they were just dropping in your spirit.
I call them downloads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like there were things, and I mean, I get them often now, but that one was the first, right? Because at that point, my relationship with God was play, I will call it, right? I haven't been through a real situation yet.
Oh.
Or let's just say everything I had faced at that point, I had overcame.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, you know, I feeling myself
Yeah.
arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm, you know, and at that time, you know, I'm managing 2 locations of DTLR. Got my own,
He's
I'm doing my thing, right? It's like, yeah,
Yes.
I'm all right, right? Thinking I was all right anyway, right? But being, I had to go through a humility process. And I was sitting in the shower one night, and I thought to myself, you know, yeah, if you don't speak to me tonight,
Yep.
I'm done, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and I really sat there for a long time. I was in there for about 3 hours, right? And all of a sudden, I thought to myself, you didn't let them die. You called them home to rest.
Okay, I'm not trying to do all this crap with you tonight. When you think of it like that,
that perspective is like, who am I to tell him?
Woof, it wasn't
given
time.
All his children and how and what they had gone through with their families and their routes, and seeing how they had to come home. Earth was wilding them out.
Oh, God.
Right? And it was like they were falling left and right. But I honestly believe they spent back around in terms of a guardian angel effect. And they were given different tasks, different assignments. They weren't necessarily, you know, killed or abandoned, right? You know, it's another realm. And that perspective is what allowed me to say, okay, yeah, you're right. I guess if I was a father, I'd do that too. And then where I was, right? I'm at prime lending now, and I know full well I don't qualify for the job. I don't qualify, right? So I'm there, and I'm there because of inner workings of relationships and the way he had breathed on certain hearts, right? And certain things that had popped off and certain things that happened for me. It was crazy, right? And I had started to see, but the whole time though, it was a faith walk, not one that I believed. One he was trying to show me I can, and this is safe enough to believe. And given the fact that every male had failed me in my life, I had to be prepared for Gene, right? My mentor.
Yeah. Wow.
And because I didn't respect men up until that point because of how they had fallen.
Dang.
Right?
Yeah.
And until I got a different perspective, and the humility process. Once I found out I could fall too, right? It changed. It did everything for me in terms of our communication with him, right? And then how I saw his children, right? And how I saw my kids, but I could see that he was doing work, and not just with me, but with everyone around me too. And I was not just learning how to trust a father. I was learning how to be a son.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have a father, so I didn't know how to be a son.
Wow.
I did not know how to take a direction. I did not know how to receive an instruction. I did not. If it didn't come from a woman, I wasn't doing it.
Wow.
Right. So it was like I had to learn. First of all, I had to learn how to receive. That's hard to a person that has figured everything out on his own. I had to learn how to be given things.
Yeah.
I had to lose stuff in order to learn the hearts of men, so that I could see that who I saw fall is not the true perspective. It was a limited one, right? It was just mine, but it didn't mean that was the heart of every man, right? And I had to actually go through it to see it. It wasn't something that could be told to me.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have listened.
Right? And when you told me what you told me, learning how everyone served you in that process.
Which was also hard.
Yeah.
Because I like taking care of people. So being in a position where I needed people to take care of me was hard.
Yeah.
It was a very humbling sit down. People love you. People really love you. The love that you give people and everything you would do for them, you were deserving of it in the way that you give it. It was hard.
Yeah.
But I found out who my real friends were.
Yeah.
I found out who my real friends were. And
talk to me about the ones you lost. Let's take a detour for a second, because I lost some I thought were real ones too.
I don't know if I ever. Well, I thought they were my friends. But it showed me really what's important in life. It's not what you can do for a person if they're just around for the gift or the light that people see in you. They sometimes want to attach themselves to that.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you see it or not, people can see God's favor on your life, and that can look like anything. It's not just material things. It could be favor at work. It could be, attention. It could be a multitude of things. But God removed those people. It was hard. It felt like a breakup.
Not a bad.
It was like, oh, betrayal. Okay. Yeah, it was betrayal, and I'm big on loyalty and everything like that. Like, okay, no, I don't fool with a whole bunch of people, but if I bring you into my circle, it's certain things that I just expect out of you, like loyalty, respect, honesty, integrity. Like it's not negotiable. So as soon as you show me that something so minor can just end, or you are different with me, then it's like, okay, I have what I need to know about you, and
didn't know you had that.
Yeah, like I could just keep I can love you from afar.
Right.
I can wish no harm on you, but I don't have you in my space.
Yeah, forgiveness is a big part of that too.
Forgiveness, but I don't forget. I don't forget.
The way you said forget makes me ask another question.
I don't forget nothing.
No, I'm with you on that, man, because I'm a big believer that when you talk about forgiveness, you don't have to forget. As a matter of fact, it's actually best you don't, so that you realize what your worth is. But you do have to relearn, and you have to be willing enough for the gate to be open. And we don't always open our gates to the ones that hurt us. That's called vulnerability.
Yeah,
It's hard, man.
it is, but I rely more on discernment and intuition.
Yes.
On to, how do I approach the gate being opened for certain people.
That's why I asked him first. You want me to open this gate? Because I'm not opening the gate.
Yeah, like you gonna literally have to tell me to open this gate because you know I'm not fooling with them. Like that's what it's gonna say.
Yes, yes. I'm with you there.
Nah, it don't even sound right.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, I don't want to get. We getting off topic. but look. So the 10 years, man. In that, right? I told you I had to learn how to be a son. But, I didn't realize, though, at that time, he was also teaching me how to be a father. Because when I learned how to be a son, I could put myself in my son's positions.
Right.
And they were just getting into the teenage realm, right? Jalil, he just second year at Towson, Ryan, 11th grade camp. He's in the 7th grade. But as they moved into those transitions, I found myself kind of going through some of the things they were going through, right? It was a mirror effect. So, as I learned what he was trying to teach me, I could kind of come back and say, this is how I approach this.
Yeah.
And this is how I handle this, right? Because again, I wasn't modeled it. And I never had a chance to be 17 with a father.
Oh.
Never had a chance to try and figure out how to do college with a father.
Yeah.
Never knew
like?
What kind of pressure is you supposed to apply, right? What kind of patience am I supposed to have?
Yeah.
Right. And when you have figured out everything on your own, your needle's off.
Yeah.
Right. Because I was graced for everything I had overcome. So everything seemed easy.
I did it. You can do it.
It was grace though, right? So it wasn't anything.
It wasn't you.
Exactly. Let me hear you on now that we're figuring out, because I understand how you had to learn how to be served, right? Learning the hearts of people, learning that's all right. I don't like where I am, but it's where I am. Talk to me about accepting a version of life that you do not want to accept.
Why fight it? Fighting it?
I don't know if I could say I would fight it.
Prolong it. But I mean, even if
the emotions behind
the emotions. So again, I had to get my mind in a space where
you could accept it.
Yeah, this is temporary. So if I'm surrendering all of the things that I don't want to go through to get through it, then I will. Right? So it's like you got to have that end goal. You have to be able to see it. And it does not look that way when you come home from the hospital and like you don't have any energy to do anything.
Yeah.
And you're just on the couch watching Dateline. Oh, I had my line up.
Dateline.
I was watching a mess out of Dateline. I was like, yo, you got to stop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's when I got on my little court shows, my little Judge Judy. That's all I can do.
Yeah, Judge Judy is a trip.
Listen, I watch it to this day. So yeah, it's just you have to go through it and accepting what your reality looks like right now, but knowing this isn't the end.
And that's exactly the reason why you're a realtor. There's a lot of circumstances that people are in that don't feel like they can buy a house.
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't look like I can do it. Situation is just crazy right now. Right now, not the time. But that's actually the indicator to suggest that you should. And I think that circumstance has taught you how to speak to or translate that for folks that don't see it the way you do.
Yeah. It's knowing your end goal and just even knowing that it's possible. Right. A lot of people that I speak to it doesn't even cross their mind. Like their parents may have been renters. You know, they don't know any other homeowners. Oh, that's crazy. You gotta have so much money. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. Pretty much you just need to have a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start there, right?
And we're gonna do everything else for you. Right. I mean, we'll get there. I don't want to skip over.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate on pain to purpose. In your pain, there's some purpose, right?
Better be something.
I know that's right.
What we doing it for?
I said that in the middle of my pit.
Yes.
I said to myself, I'm not going through this for no
nothing.
reason. I know I'm not. I can't be.
It don't make sense.
I was determined that this is a lie. This is not where I'm supposed to be, bruh. This is not where I'm supposed. I feel it in my bones. This is not where I'm supposed to be. I do not believe how broke I am. I do not believe. Okay. I don't believe every person that said no. I don't believe every rejection I received. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I can't convince you of it.
Yeah, it was nothing. And folks have tried.
Oh my gosh.
They have tried.
They're on a mission.
They have tried to tell me that this is true. I just don't.
You're from Baltimore.
I just,
you know what I mean? You went to public schools. You did this, you did that. Your parents did this. They were on a mission to convince you that you do not deserve to have what you want out of life.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't. It wasn't enough. I got to a point in my process where I was like, hell, first of all, I'm not. This can't be for nothing, and I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's a lot.
But it taught me a lot, though. The revelations that came in, it was crazy. And then you got some too, because you're getting ready to launch this nonprofit, which I think is a dope initiative. Right, and something that's easy to get behind. Right, the up and coming nonprofit on early detection for women so that they can figure out what their options are early on so it's not too late, right? The new pink ink, I love that.
Thanks.
Talk to me about this vision.
So the vision, of course, came through my personal experience. When I was going to the doctors every year, I'm big on annual exams, and they will always ask you this question: are there any concerns? And I'm thinking like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, oh no, wait, I have this lump under my arm. And for, I want to say probably a good 3 years, you know, because of my age, they were like, oh, it's nothing. So my organization, I said, I want to make sure that people get early detection. So be an advocate for yourself. You know, don't be, you know, in a place where I listen to the doctors. The doctors don't know everything, right? And you know your body. So my lump started getting a little bigger, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I finally got with the doctor who listened to me, or I was loud enough, and said, okay, don't worry about it. Just go get a biopsy. So with my organization, I want to make sure we focus on early detection, being an advocate for yourself, of course. And I do have a part of it where it's called +1. And that's where someone will go with a patient that's going through chemo or even radiation if you have to do that.
Like a buddy program.
Yeah, like a buddy program. Because I was there with my mom and my uncle every single session. They were there with me. And I would just see other people there by themselves. And I could not imagine going through something like that by yourself. And I'm like, okay, Lord, we're going to get some folks in here with these people to just sit with them. It's not even about, you know, holding their hand or anything or feeling sad. It's just, no, I'm here. You don't even have to talk. You don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But just having someone there and letting you know that you're not alone.
For sure. Yeah, that goes a long way. Community, right? Community. And, you know, I think that was one of the things I had to fight with. Because I honestly believe that the way people were treating me, right? I had to fight. I'm like, this is a lie. Like, this is not most people. This is not the narrative. This is not, right? I had to fight against that in my isolation.
But that's hard
because it is hard.
That's all you see.
Right. It shapes you. It can mold you if you're, and I think that's one of my biggest thank yous. Right. Thank you for not allowing my heart to harden.
That part.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. We go through some stuff that you be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Forget everything and everybody. And I'm going to just worry about myself.
I'm going to do me.
Yeah, I'm going to do me. And if somebody get hurt, then whatever. Right. But yeah, being able to still have a soft heart.
Right. An ability to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my biggest thing. And I think in that morphed this, which translates me into, or transitions us into, you know, this realtor thing. You love people.
I don't listen.
I want my brows.
Sure. I don't fool with a lot of folks. I love people. Yes.
That's what I said. I said
I'm like, you know, be fooling with people like that.
Eyebrows got high on me. But yeah, I get you. Yeah, you got to make some boundaries up.
Boundaries all day long. I have no problem with boundaries. I love them.
Yeah. Nah, but no. And the reason why I say that is for your clients, right? Because, you know some of the things they're dealing with even before they do. And you got to learn how to communicate that, right? And you have a situation and a circumstance that you've been through to kind of speak to some of the things that they don't always know they're dealing with. And I wanted to ask, like, how do you approach the initial conversation for a new client?
Well, I have a a buyer's consultation. And during my buyer's consultation, I get to know them. I figure out what their needs are, and I figure out how I'll be able to help them achieve the ultimate goal while we're there. And I go through the process because a lot of people don't even know what they have to do. They just count themselves out like, oh, no, it's too hard. No. So even with the buyer's consultation, it may not be that day that they'll be able to buy. It may be a couple of months down the road. It could be a year, it could be 2. But I'm there just to guide them, let them know that I'm the advocate. Like, a firstborn daughter, like, I know how to I'm a protector. I know how to, I ain't got no problem with the fight. Like, I'm there to protect my client and make sure that they get whatever they desire and what they need.
So in this, let's take a pause here.
Okay.
The NAR settlement. Tell me how that's changed your consultation.
It hasn't.
Okay. Talk to me.
It hasn't changed my consultation because my clients are fully aware of what I offer them. So whatever we negotiate, because all commissions are negotiable, it's money well spent. Because you wouldn't question a lawyer's fee. You don't want a public defender. You know what I mean? Like, you want someone who is educated on compliance, on laws, who knows how to talk to people, and who has your best interest at heart. It's not about me. I don't have to live in the house, right? You got to be comfortable. When you walk away, you got to be like, you know what? I love it here. Not calling me saying you don't like it. No. And so again, going back to, I don't allow my clients, because I don't operate from a place of desperation. Okay.
Talk to me about that for a second.
It's just personal life and business. It's just not, we're not going to be fearful and we're not going to be anxious. Now we can be,
uncertain.
Yeah, we can be uncertain because everybody's journey is going to be different, you know, and we could face those issues head on. Like, I ain't never scared. So.
Well, when you beat breast cancer, it's not too much you haven't seen.
Right, exactly. Right. I'm not going to do anything that my clients are not going to be comfortable with. And we're going to go through every step. And if there's something that they don't understand, then I'm going to back up and make sure they understand it. And here's the thing. If it's something that I don't know, I have no problem going to get the answer for you. And then I'll circle back and say, hey, I found it out for you.
Yeah. So you offer resources, but you use the tool of communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in my personal time, which is for my business, I go out and I meet different partners. So I have lending partners, I have title company, like I have home inspectors, all of these people that are going to help you during your home buying process. I vet them for you. And during my home buyer, I'm sorry, I keep saying my home buyer seminar because I always host a home buyer seminar. I'm sorry. During my buyer's consultation, I find out who's going to be like the right match for you. Like if somebody's, has to read everything, I need somebody else who's going to be patient with that person. And you cannot, again, this is one of the biggest purchases that you'll ever make in your life. Yes. We're not going to rush you. And I'm not going to have partners that don't understand that and do not handle my clients with care, because that's you're mine at that point. I'm very possessive as well. So I'm going to take you mine. I'm going to take care of you, and I would not allow anything that I would not allow for myself to happen to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I vet them. It's not just about a number or anything like that. Listen, these folks have what they want. I'm here to make sure that my clients get what they want.
Wants and needs are different.
And also, again, that's another thing during the buyer's consultation. We're going to go through what are your wants and what are your needs.
Yeah.
They're very different.
All right. I put a post up today on social media about fixing credit and reintroducing a person that didn't think they can buy into the market. Mm-hmm. And how they transform their mindsets into, I can get what I want now. I'm fancy, huh? Right? How do you reroute some of the communication that you have with buyers to kind of ground them a little bit, honestly, because they don't know much about it, right? Honestly, and that's why they're there. And that's why we're having the conversations we're having. Mm-hmm. There's times where I become a counselor. There's times where I become I guess, not necessarily, an arbitrator over the process, but it's like an authority figure over your decision making, because there are some things that I have to break to you that are hard truths sometimes.
Yeah, I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't have a problem with it.
You can't afford this.
Yeah, because I live in truth. So I'm transparent with them, and I allow them to see it, right? Mm-hmm. And then we come up with a game plan. Mm-hmm. And we say, where are we now? Not that you can never have your wants, but what steps are we going to take to get you there, right? So if you're here, this is your starter home. So much opportunity in Baltimore right now. So we can start with a starter home, and it may not have 5 bedrooms, but we can start with 3 or even 2, whatever it is. And it's just like, I live and operate in reality when it comes to that, right? Like I can visualize something bigger and better, but it's like, let me be truthful in the steps. What do the steps look like?
Right.
If I want it, I can get whatever I want. Right. But what are the steps that's going to get me there?
Right. And with sustainable home ownership, right? Because we want you to keep it, honestly. Like, we want you to keep your house.
I'm not in a service.
We don't want you to lose your house, man.
Right.
Like, I don't want you to buy nothing that you can't afford.
Truly.
So, I really want to set you up to really and truly change the financial trajectory for your family. Mm-hmm. But all right. So now we have the consultation. Mm-hmm. We just talked about a bit of the home hunting. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you though, are there certain things that you are, for both your listing side of things and then your buyers, but are some things in terms of optics that you are coaching your buyers and sellers for? Particularly in Baltimore, because that's a lot.
So it is a lot in Baltimore. But for my buyers, I would say starter homes, and I would say, again, affordability and knowing what home ownership can bring and how that can benefit you. So the optics doesn't always look the way you want it to, but 5 to 10 years later down the line, you may never want to leave, because we're so rich in just resources here in Baltimore. As far as, you got BWI, you got the train station, you have all of these universities. So it's so much here, and I don't want them to miss out on the opportunity. So if there is a vacant lot, for instance, across the street or beside your home that we're looking at, then there are programs where you can start a garden, a community garden or something like that, and just be able to, you can actually purchase that land. But that's
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Hit her up. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, but you can have something where it isn't an eyesore, and you feel proud to call your home. Yeah. But we got to do the work.
Right.
Like, y'all want optics that look good and this and that, like, but you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah, and I hear you saying we have to set up the perspective too, because we have to set up the vision. Because we just had a event last Thursday. The Baltimore Housing Summit.
I was there.
And there's a lot of intelligent money coming into Baltimore. And you're right, Baltimore is being revamped, renovated, and changed right before our very eyes. And a lot of people don't know what's going on in our city right now. And you're right, man. What looks like what we're looking at right now in Baltimore, in a decade, it's not going to be that way. And property value is going to skyrocket. Being able to paint that picture for folks is golden. Yeah.
So again, you can use your home as a personal bank.
Yep.
Right.
I call it a glorified savings account.
A glorified savings account. You got to pay somebody something to live somewhere. So why not pay yourself?
For sure. Yep.
And again, like you can force property values, right? So say you and your homies, y'all all buy a house on the same block. So now it's renovated. You have this equity built in, and you have the optics that you want.
Yeah. You got to do the work.
You got to do the work. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen with somebody else.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah. And being able to see it before you do it is key.
I would say, see, that goes to my father. Was pretty much a contractor. Like, he built anything. So I will attribute that to him. I have that gift where I can go in. First of all, I love historical homes. I love exposed brick. Everything about Baltimore homes, I love that. So I just was able to, I can see the vision about this. So you got to be able to envision what you want your community to look like.
Yeah. And be flexible about how it happens.
Oh my God, please be flexible.
Yeah, you got to be flexible. You got to be flexible, because everything's not going to happen the way you want it to happen. And you're going to meet resistance. Any goal, any dream, anything, any vision, right? Especially if it has some wealth attached to it, you're going to meet some resistance. And being able to kind of, withstand the initial blows of life is going to be whether, it's going to, you being able to kind of see through all of that is going to dictate whether or not
because I know everything else is just it's a trick.
Yeah.
It's a trick, it's to trick you out your bag.
For sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
No, the dollar homes. You get with your friends again, because we all know you go down a certain block, they're abandoned homes. They're all vacant, right?
Everywhere.
So you get with a group of friends and you guys say, okay, we're going to do this block and we're going to live here. There you go. You have it. Like, it's all there for you. And you know your neighbors.
Yeah, there you go.
And you're familiar with the neighborhood because that's where you grew up. So why be displaced by people that can see the beauty in your city when you need to recognize it for yourself?
Yeah. Let go of the pain. Forgive. Set your boundaries.
Don't forget. There's some boundaries.
Don't forget. Just set your
but
boundaries.
Forgive.
Yeah. All right. So we got them out there. They're searching. They find something. I heard you talk a little earlier about desperation. I don't operate in that.
No.
How do you approach knowing that we have a timeline, and that anxieties are high, and that we are also considering another person who has a timeline, that it's not our responsibility. However, it's still a consideration we must understand.
So with real estate, time is of the essence, right? You don't have to be rushed, but once you find a property and we put in an offer, you need to be on point and taking those steps. So again, with me, I'm going to keep you on track. Like I don't even play like that. But also the other side, the seller side, they are selling for a reason, right? So you don't have to operate from desperation. You don't have to just take anything someone gives you. Negotiations can take place. And of course, there's like seller concessions. There are grant programs out there. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff out here. Of course, you got to do the work because there's classes that you need to take and make sure that you have both. They're like a 2-part thing. So make sure you have both parts. But when you are equipped and you have all of your paperwork in order and you're doing all the things that you need to do, then we can negotiate from a position of power, right? Everybody wants the transaction to go smoothly. So I ensure that my clients and the other side have a win-win situation. It's not just about one side. Like, I'm not going to advise my client to do anything that's going to be detrimental to them. Like, we're just not going to do that. So we're equipped with what we need to do. We have comps. We're not overpaying for it. Except, however, I just thought about something. In Baltimore, they have that gap, that appraisal gap program. Because again, when you do have a property that may be a vacant property next door or on that same block, the appraisal is not going to give you the value, and it could be completely renovated, so it looks the same outside, but inside it's like a new build. Like the houses that I've been seeing, they look like complete new builds. So you want stainless steel appliances, quartz countertop, like they have the 9 yards. So in situations like that, again, like I said, the property value, you're not going to get the appraisal to match what you've paid for it, but there is a program out there that will give you the money for that appraisal gap. So we got you covered on that. Yeah, it's just like, listen, I stay learning because I will never know everything, but I will learn and I will adjust. So I make sure that I bring my clients the latest information that's going to put them in a informed position. So again, we ain't operating from desperation. We operate from a position of power.
A position of power. I love that. Yeah. I'm still that.
I'm telling you, just how you got to move. Like, because you'll face something and you be like, oh, a little shaky. You got to step in that power.
Yeah. Kiesha Harris, next home. I'm telling you right now, Mims Realty Group. And listen, tell everybody how they can tap in with you real quick.
Okay. Well, on my social media, it's Youre Realtor Kiesha. I'm there. I always host home buying seminars. Just always giving the information out to the public. And yeah, you can reach me there. Youre Realtor Kiesha.
And her contact information will be underneath this video.
Oh, okay.
And we also have a home buyer workshop coming up on November the 2nd. So stay tuned for that. And you guys can tap into her wisdom that way as well. Listen, she's a dope soul. And I'm going to tell you now, she's going to love you through the process. And there's not going to be anything that she's not going to do for you that makes sense. And I appreciate, her as a partner. I'm pretty sure you're going to appreciate her as a realtor. So make sure you reach out to her. Miss Kiesha Harris, Next Home Mims Realty Group. I appreciate you joining me, Queen.
Thank you.
This is the Ryan Dustin Podcast, and these are words from Humble King. Peace.